Hi there guys, got a video here for you today on something a little different. What we have here is the Gamo Arrow. So the Gamo Arrow is a budget PCP air rifle that we're going to be taking a look at. Before we get into the rifle though, I do very briefly want to mention that I will be at the British Shooting Show next week and I'm going to be working on the Crawley Salt Plus store stand. So if you want to come over and say hello, that's stand A8. With that said, back onto the rifle. So what I want to do in this video is just give you an honest overview of the rifle and some information on it. To begin with, this rifle here is a 177 sub 12 pound rifle and it's in the synthetic stock, although this rifle is also available in a wooden stock, .22 caliber, and depending on where you are in the world, different power levels. Right then, moving on to some specifics on the rifle. Most of this rifle here is plastic. Obviously the stock's plastic, but the block as well as the shroud is plastic. The cocking or charging handle is plastic as well, as is the trigger. The air cylinder, the barrel inside the shroud, and the iron sights are metal, so front and rear metal iron sights, and there are a couple more metal parts inside the block itself. We will be taking a look at that very shortly. I'll drop the stock off so you can sort of see what the action looks like underneath. For now though, on top of the block we do have a small dovetail rail at the top here. This is just a standard 11mm dovetail, so if you don't want to use the iron sights, you can put a scope on the back here. It also does come with a 10-shot rotary magazine, which is that one there. To load the mag, all you need to do is drop a pellet in this first hole, rotate the magazine round, drop a pellet in the next one, and then keep going all the way round until you load all 10 shots up, at which point you can put the mag in the rifle, push it in nice and securely, then push your bolt forward. To cock this rifle, what you do have to do is pull the charging handle down slightly, then pull it back nice and firmly. Moving on from that, the air cylinder in this rifle is located towards the bottom of the barrel. We have a gauge on this end. We have the fill port in the underneath of the stock. So that's just a standard Foster fitting adapter. So you can connect either a stirrup pump or a dive bottle up to your rifle in order to fill it. And the shot count of the rifle is fairly good, so from a 200 bar fill, I was getting around 70 shots before the feet per second started to majorly fall off. Now I do want to mention this is an unregulated rifle, however the power curve when using the rifle was surprisingly flat. There wasn't a large sort of bell curve that you would normally see on a standard unregulated rifle. The feet per second stayed fairly consistent throughout the entire fill cycle. Right then, so the rifle itself does have a couple of nice features, starting off with the two-stage adjustable trigger in the bottom here. So we have the trigger itself along with the safety bar. With the safety in this position, the trigger is unable to be pulled, but as soon as we flick it forward, we can then pull the trigger and fire the rifle. To be honest with you, the trigger isn't the nicest thing in the world, but on a rifle at this price point, it's probably one of the nicer triggers that I've tried, and being both two-stage and adjustable is a plus in my book. Moving on from that, the rifle features a set of fibre optic iron sights, which are adjustable for both elevation and windage. They're quite nice, they paint a nice sight picture, and they're nice and clear in dark environments. And lastly is the shroud and moderator setup. So this rifle comes as standard, fitted with a moderator at the front and then a shrouded barrel, and it really does do a good job of quietening the rifle down. You could shoot this in your back garden with absolutely no worry whatsoever. It's lovely and quiet, and if you wanted to, you could quite literally just buy this rifle and start shooting. You would obviously need ammo and targets, but you could use the iron sights. You wouldn't have to buy a suppressor or anything like that. You could just literally take it out the box and start shooting. Speaking of shooting, the next thing we're going to do is take it down range and see what it does. Right then, so here we are all set up in Pete's airgun farm in the 50-yard range. What we have here is a target set out at 20 yards, and I'm just doing 5 shot groups using a number of different pellets. For this testing, I have also put on an MTC cophead scope onto the top, just to get the best out of the rifle. From my initial testing, this particular rifle liked the JSB 10.34 grain heavies and the JSB 8.44 grain exacts. The rifle also liked quite a few of the H&N pellets, with its favourite being the Barracuda FTs. The only pellets that this particular rifle didn't really like were the lighter pellets or the QYSs. At this point though, I do want to say that all rifles will be slightly different, and it's always worth putting a few pellets through your rifle to see what it likes. For me though, the real fun of this rifle doesn't really come from shooting groups. It's much more about plinking around and shooting reactive targets, knockdowns, spinners, tin cans, that sort of thing. This rifle for me would be a great back garden plinker. It's good enough to hit what you're aiming at most of the time, and even when using iron sights, it's fun to shoot. Right then, up next what I've gone ahead and done is just remove the action from the stock so you can see what's going on. Now, I'm not going to be doing a full disassembly of this rifle on camera. That's a little out of the scope for this particular video. But if you want to see me disassemble this rifle, leave a comment down below. If there's enough people asking, I'll try and take the rifle apart and just see what's inside. With that said, the next thing I want to mention is that the stock and the action come together and secure all of the components. So you cannot fire the action without it being installed into the stock. So if we take a closer look at the action, we have these two straps here which contain the air cylinder and secure it to the block. Then we have this recess down here which fits into a corresponding groove into the stock, and that keeps everything nice and secure. So when the hammer flies forward and strikes the valve, it can open and it doesn't push the air cylinder out. Moving on from that, it looks like the block is made up of two pieces, so the front half and the rear half, and they look to be just clamshell covers. So one side here, with the shroud being moulded as one piece. We do also have a couple of pins at the end here, which secure the moderator sound protection system in the end. So I'll get you a good look at that. In this chamber here, this contains our hammer and our hammer spring, along with our trigger being located just here. So there's just a quick look at that. Right then, with that all said and done, is the rifle actually any good? Well, I think that depends on what you're going to be doing with it. If you want a rifle for a bit of plinking in the back garden or a light amount of target work, I think the rifle will do that perfectly well. In the 2 months that I've owned the rifle, it's not leaked and hasn't malfunctioned in any way, so I can't complain about the overall build quality. And whilst the action is a little clunky, the trigger isn't the best thing in the world, and overall the rifle isn't going to win any accuracy competitions. For £350, I think this is the right money for the right rifle. I think it's well worth £350, and overall I'm really quite happy with it. I really like the iron sights, they paint a really nice clear picture. The stock itself is surprisingly ergonomic, and the inbuilt moderator and shroud really does a good job of quietening the rifle down. Right then, with that all said and done, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been interesting or useful. Don't forget, if you come into the British Shooting Show next week, I will be on the Crawley Surplus Store stand, which is stand A8. So if you want to come over, say hello and grab a keyring, that's where I'll be. For now though guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.